Hello and welcome to the Halo Forge epidemic. This is Oakley HiDef and I'm here to bring you a video featuring aesthetic details, and we're going to be covering an urban setting in this video. So stay tuned for a lot of information. Now the reason I'm covering urban details is because a lot of people like making urban maps. They can be very useful. You can use them for Slayer, Infection, basically all the game types, even race. So it's used for everything. But we don't really have the tools in Halo Forge to make a nice city map. So a lot of people try it and it's hard to do, but what I'm going to do in this video is try and help you guys out. So let me show you the map quickly and do a brief fly through. So this is the map I've made, and now we'll go through it bit by bit. So I guess the first thing to talk about is the road. When you're making an urban map, you want to make a road through it, just to give it that city feel. If there's no roads, that's fine, but it can add a lot to your map. So the way I did this was I threw down brace larges to make the base of the road all the way around, and then in the middle I had Coliseum windows, just the top of them sticking through to make the divide in the middle. Now I didn't want to make a huge road. You can make it span all the way through your map, but in this case I wanted the road to kind of disappear in these tunnels, so I made two of those. You just use incline circular larges, a couple of them, and then you add a back gate. Now another thing you can do when you have this is you have this hanging down decorative piece, which is a brace, and it kind of looks like it's a sign that might indicate things for this tunnel, and then I threw cones up here to show that it's closed. And again, this is the implied design idea that I keep stressing. You want your map to seem bigger than it actually is, so the tunnel helps with that. Now along your road you can add other details. What I've done here, for example, is throw in a bus stop, and that's pretty easy to make. What I did down here was have the brace, and I'll pull that out for you guys. So I have the brace here, just to add some color, and then what I have is this this bridge medium, so you can see here's the whole thing. What I did was I submerged it just about this much to give you the impression of a bench. Then I added a brace, large, sticking up and down, and then we have a cover piece to sort of shield people from the sun or the rain. So that's that. Now just in general, when you're building your structures for an urban map, go ahead and use Coliseum walls, make big cubes and rectangles. What you don't want to do, however, is leave it like that. So what you want to do once you have your basic skeleton frame, which is going to be the Coliseums, is you want to decorate each and every one of your buildings. You don't want to leave anyone blank. So let's start with this building here. This was pretty easy to make. So first what I did was I left a gap in the floor, and I added some braces on the side and some blocks here to make it seem like this is sort of the entrance to an underground garage. Then I have a door here, a bench here, and then most important, I think, for this building to make it stand out is what you have up here, which are the apartments. So this is easy to make, actually. What I had was, this is actually just the piece, the end of a staircase. So what I did was I placed this in here just about this height, and I have four of them, as you can see. Then to make it seem like it's an apartment is I added glass pieces. This is a cover glass in decorative section. So what I did was I put that in here just to make it look like it's an apartment, and each room has their own window. And from down here you kind of get a glint off the glass, so it makes it look like there may be an inside. It's a little blurry, so it gives a nice effect, and it'll spice up this building, and you can easily identify it as some sort of apartment complex. So now next building we're going to talk about is this one. While it's good to use wall pieces, it allows you to make big buildings quickly. You can also make buildings out of other things. So here what I did was I had just the two walls flanking it, and then what I had for the front was one brace large here, one brace large here, a block here, and then a platform corner 4x4. So that made the front wall. Then what I did, I wanted kind of a fancy entrance to help it stick out. So what I had was inclines on each side. Then I made it go in, added a door, and then I had a walkway cover up top, which I added sort of poles to make it seem like this is sort of a cover for some sort of fancy building with a door. And the nice thing about this is you have lighting from this object. So there you go, as you walk in closer, the lights will flash on, and that's as far as you can go. And then also what you want to think about is not just having straight surfaces, you want to have curved surfaces, so I added that there to keep it interesting. Another thing to note is you can make manholes. So what I did was I had just one part of this huge dish, and then what you want to do is bury it slowly so it's about this deep. So I had two of those, and then I had this capture plate in the center. Now continuing on, you can add greenery to your urban environment. That's always important. You can build a park. So here I basically just made an upside down tin cup, submerge it right here, and then I had these the incline ramp circulars, two of them to sort of ring around that. And then what I had was benches. Again, these are easy to make. You just have these the bridge mediums, put them down again to make them look like a bench, and then you throw in a 2x1 flat onto the back to have some sort of back support to your bench. Now another thing I added was a trash can. Adds more believability to the map, and this was basically columns from the decorative section. Added a couple of them, 3. And what's nice about these is, yes, you can get a circular shape, but also it kind of has it sticks out in various parts like this. It's not completely rounded, and that's nice because that's what you see on real trash cans. And then what I did was I had sandbags partly submerged here to make it look like there's trash kind of on the side of the trash can. Now continuing on, other buildings you can make, low buildings like this, easy to do. So what I did was I had wall coliseums on either side. Then what I had, I used a lot of these inclines because you start off with a lot of inclines. I think it's 100. So feel free to use these, save the blocks for other purposes. Then I have 3 on each side to sort of close that face off. So you can see 3 on each side. And then what I did was I had 4 on each side of the roof. So you have a nice sloping roof. It looks good from a distance, and also you can have your players get on top of it in some of your maps. And then what I had on the front, I didn't want just a Coliseum wall sticking out, so what I had was a door. This is made of a variety of pieces. I have a block here. Then I have an incline up top, sort of give it some cover. And then what I had was two 3x1 pieces on the side, which I kind of stuck in to have the frame of the door. Then I added capture plates in various places, and then capture plates combined with flag stands here to make another sort of a keypad or doorknob, something like that. And then another step I had added to make it more interesting were these pieces, and it's actually just a small piece of this larger section here, which is a walkway large, and those are actually in the platform sections. So for decorating this building, that piece was only $10. Then what you want to do is move it in close to your building, and then hide most of the other, most of the rest of this this piece. Hide it behind the surface and only show off this piece. So that's really new. It looks like it's a new piece in Forge, but once again, it's only part of a larger piece. Now, another easy building you can do, which I sort of use as filler for my urban maps, is this building right here. Place it anywhere, place a couple of them. It's just 2 wall coliseums and then 3 brace larges on each side, 2 facing outwards, 1 facing inwards. So that looks nice, and you can make a lot of these easily, put them in rows, and that'll quickly fill up your cityscape without having too much detail on it, and it already looks nice. So what you want to do is have a bunch of these, then several of these apartment buildings, and then a couple more detailed ones. Now, as you can see in the back, I have some different elevation. I've added some blocks. Another one of these buildings here. And then let's go up front. Another thing you can do is add restaurants and other types of interesting buildings. So here it says hot. This is presumably a barbecue restaurant, something like that. So you want to add different kinds of buildings, not only like this or an apartment, but restaurants. So you have got somewhere to eat. This one may be work, and that one to live in. So you want to have a variety of different structures. Here for the barbecue one, what I did was I added a bunch of benches. Here again, I used the bridge mediums, submerged, and then I had two of them back to back to make this table. Then over here, I used the teleporter frames upside down to make the sort of the table. And then I had crates merged into that to give it to add a little bit more to it, so you get something on the top and on the sides. Then what I had was I had antennas barely sticking up to make the pole, and then I used these, I'll pull these apart for you. I had these bank 1x1s that I stacked together to make some umbrellas for the outdoor sort of eating for this restaurant. And what I did for the sign up here, it's a shield door, and then I use various blocks to sort of write the letters, and then I have kill balls in the back giving this sort of fiery effect, which is nice. A, because it's red, so it gives you that sort of hot impression, and then B, because it's a kill ball which has sort of moving parts to it, it adds some flair to this sign. The sign is moving around, that'll catch people's attention, and it's really interesting from a distance. Now, over here I have one more building. I added some dice into the wall along with this sign and another shield door, sorry. So this is maybe some sort of game room. Here we have the Halo Forge Epidemic. Be sure to subscribe. There's some subliminal advertising for you. But basically here is another building you can do. So over there it's a restaurant. Here it's some sort of game room. And then I added, once again, tin cups with the flag standing up this time, marking the entrance to this sort of more, I guess, fun sort of geared building. So another thing that you want to think about is maybe if you're making an urban map for Slayer, well, here's your blue base and here's your red base. So that's an interesting way to set the different sides apart. So that's something to think about on your maps. Now we've talked about a lot of the different pieces here. What we're going to do now is go on to the back. Now, once you've made all the details to your map in here, this looks really intricate. The next step is to make your city seem even larger. So what I did back there was add a ton of additions to make it seem like this city stretches on for a while. But what you're going to see shortly is this is just a facade. Now this is how a lot of game developers make their games. It's basically a cardboard in the background, and that's sort of the technique I used. It's an optical illusion. All you can see is the front from down here. From all the angles in the city, check this out, you can't see past any one of the walls. So there you go. And I use the minimum amount of objects in order to make the maximum effect in terms of what you think this city is. So here I added two big towers, just using coliseums as the base, then standing straight up, and then I used these different pieces here, the large walkway covers, a couple of them to make it more interesting on either side. Then I had walkway larges down here at the bottom. So that makes the two towers a little different and interesting. If you want to make some destruction on your map, what you can do is sort of tilt these around, have them hanging off, and then add these pieces here kind of sticking out so it's like rebar or there's some destruction. So what you can see from a distance, say if this were an infection map, you can add really a level of immersion to your map, make it look like there's a lot of destruction in the area. And then over here, what I've done is I've stacked some dishes on top to make another building that looks, again, varied and interesting. Now in the back, I've just added a couple walls here to cover up the front, and then I've stacked up some inclines, and then off on the side I've added some blocks, 3x1s here, sticking out just once again so it looks like there's some destruction from a distance. So there you go, guys. This is your basic tutorial on how to make an urban setting. I may be back to talk about more urban environment stuff I'll definitely keep making aesthetic forge tutorials, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Thank you for watching this. This is Oakley HiDef once again, signing out.